What is going on, guys? I am back, finally. I know it's been so long and I kept saying I was going to come back and I didn't, but I am back, finally bringing you some content. I finally got the space kind of set-ish, how I want. It's the best it's going to get for a while, so forgive the lack of content, but I am back. I've got a bit of a cold, so excuse me if I have to cough. But I'm back, and a lot's gone on since I've left. So we've had WWDC. It happened, I'd say probably the best WWDC keynote for many years. Lots of great, exciting stuff. Let's talk about it. So I've got my iPad just off to my left here. So if you wonder what I'm looking at, that's what I'm looking at. Speaking of iPad, this is my iPad 6th gen. And if I go to the home screen, iOS, or iPad OS as I should now call it, iPad OS 13, beta 1. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So I'll just put that back to my notes. So, WWDC 2019. We all kind of knew what was coming. You know, you get to that point of the year and you've got a basic idea of what you can expect. But there were some little surprises, stuff that we didn't think was coming, and some stuff that we did know about. So let's get into it. So I'm going to do the smaller stuff first, and then we'll work through it. So watchOS 6. Now, I've got an Apple Watch 2nd gen, or Series 2, whatever you want to call it, 42mm, space grey stainless steel. Love it. Wouldn't go to any other watch. Does my steps, does my health. Absolutely love it. Unlocks my Mac. Does Apple Pay. Love it. Great bit of tech. So, watchOS 6. Big thing. App Store. Not really sure if I'm going to particularly like it. I don't know. You know, I mean, you can browse the apps on your Apple Watch, but I feel like that's a bit odd on the small screen. And then if you're browsing it on your phone in the watch app, how is that any different to just what we do now, apart from it being in an app store? But we shall see. New streaming audio APIs coming out, so the watch can stream audio directly, doesn't require an iPhone, which I wasn't even aware was a requirement, but apparently it is. So that would be that. Hearing health, quite a neat little idea. If you work in a loud environment all the time, you get a little pop-up saying it's detected that it's been high levels of noise, and just to be aware of the surroundings that you're in. So that's pretty cool for those people. I mean, I don't have particular use for it. I work in an office, but I can see that there's a lot of people out there that will probably find that quite useful. We've got some new watch faces. I'll try and find them and put them kind of here on the screen if I can find them. So some new watch faces, great. Can never have too many watch faces. I love a good watch face. I'm constantly changing mine. I can never keep the same one for more than about a week. So there's that. Two-factor authentication. Now, this was like a tidbit that came up. I didn't notice this it wasn't mentioned, I don't think, in the keynote. So if you've got two-factor authentication, which you should have, you can then use your Apple Watch as the allow, disallow, gives you the 6-digit code. So that's quite neat. Saves me having to get my iPhone out when I sign into something on my Mac. Activity trends. So you can see if you're getting fitter or not, if it's me, I imagine. So quite handy for people that use it for sport. And there's a calculator app now on the watch. So I'm guessing someone decided that they wanted that and submitted it, or maybe somebody at Apple decided they wanted to use the calculator on their Apple Watch. Who knows? Speaking of using the Apple Watch at the gym, if I can find it, newest purchase is, for me, always I'm denied about getting one of these, is the Nike Sport Band. So it's the what do they call it? It's the Black and Volt. Black and Volt band. I'm not sure if my iPhone's going to focus, but black and volt band. Tried it on, haven't actually used it in the gym yet. Going to use it tomorrow when I go to the gym, but seems amazing. Love it. Didn't want to keep using my normal straps because it's a bit gross. So just a little tidbit of information. Back to the interesting stuff. So next we will do iOS/iPad OS 13. So dark mode, obviously, love it. As I said, got iPad OS 13 on my iPad 6th gen. Dark mode is amazing. Everything is dark black, like true black, not the old Twitter bluish black. It's complete black. I love it. Been using it from the day of the keynote when the IPSWs went live. Not had any issues. I have seen people on iPad Pros that have had some issues and certain apps don't work. I haven't got it on my phone. I don't know where my phone is, but I haven't got it on my phone because I just can't be bothered, to be honest, in finding stuff that doesn't work. Things like Munzo, the app, the banking app, if you're in the UK. I'm a Munzo banking customer, and apparently the app doesn't work. So that's a deal breaker for me. I've always used them in the past, the betas. Maybe once the public beta comes out and the app list of broken apps gets a bit smaller, maybe I'll put the public beta on, but we shall see. Swipe keyboard, I'll be honest, I'm never going to use it. I can type fast enough. I'm never going to use a swipe keyboard, but I know there are a lot of people out there that like swipe keyboards. I know Android's had them forever, so that's built into the keyboard. New reminders app. Again, I'll try and find a image of it, or I'll screen record my iPad and put it up here. New reminders app. Again, I've used it occasionally. Maybe I'll use it more now that it's a bit more intuitive, but we shall see. Sign in with Apple. Now I'll put a picture of this here. I'll move over. I'll put an image of this in this space. Sign in with Apple, I think, is amazing. Now I know it's not new. You know, there's been sign in with Facebook. There's been sign in with Google. There's sign in with God knows whatever else. So it's not something I'd have ever thought. I never thought Apple would have come up with this, or would have come up with this thing. I think it's great. You can choose what information you give to them. They can hide your email address. You get a burner email address. And all apps that have a social or other option for sign-in, so Facebook, Google, Twitter, whatever, have to have sign-in by Apple as an option, which means developers are forced to put sign-in with Apple into their apps, which I think is a great move. You know, the more secure we can be, it's the better for everyone, better world for everyone. So I think, yeah, sign in with Apple, great move. iMessage is going to have profiles, so you can have a picture and all that kind of thing, kind of like WhatsApp. I don't iMessage a load of people. I tend to use WhatsApp, but for the few people that I do iMessage, you know, I'm sure it'll be great, although they probably won't bother. So if they don't use it, it's kind of a waste, but we'll see. Dark mode, obviously got into it. Interested to see what it's going to be like on my iPhone, because it's OLED, so I'll be interested to see what it does to the battery life. Because obviously the dark blacks, the OLEDs turn off, so we'll see. Maybe we'll get some decent battery life out of my iPhone. iPhone SE and later, 6 and 6 Plus are gone. It's the end of their life, iOS wise. So SE and later. No limit on app downloads over mobile data or cellular. So that's good. I know they recently raised the limit, but now they're going to allow you to just not have a limit at all. So people that have got loads of data want to take advantage of 4G. You can all crack on. I'm not one of them, but those people that are, you can all crack on. A new volume indicator, so I'll put an animation here, but new volume indicator, so rather than it being on the screen and not going away, you get a little bar and then the bar goes really small and you can drag it around with your finger. I use it on my iPad, absolutely love it. Siri's voice has changed, so it sounds a lot more natural than it did before. I don't really use Siri, I'll be really honest. I used it for about a week when I got my Sonos Beam soundbar to AirPlay stuff to it. excuse me, to AirPlay stuff to it. As soon as Google Assistant launched on the Beam, I went straight back to that. So I can't really comment on the Siri voice because I don't ever speak to her or him, whichever way you got it. And faster Face ID. Now, I never thought Face ID was slow, and I know that on the XS and the XS Max they sped up Face ID anyway, but apparently they've sped up Face ID even more. So that's good. The faster I can unlock my phone or authenticate payments or purchases, then I'm all for it. So iPad OS specific features. Split view, we've had that for a while, but now you can have multiple instances of the same app. So you want to have two Notes windows, two Safari windows. You can do all of that. You get an app expose for the multiple windows. If you bring an app into slide over, you can then switch between slide over apps in a very iPhone 10-ish looking UI with the bar at the bottom. So that's pretty cool. iPad apps on Mac, I suppose, goes both ways between iPad OS and the new Mac OS, which we'll touch on. Files app, massively changed. You get column view, you can plug USB drives in. I love it. I use it on my iPad. I've used my iPad more probably in the last 2 weeks since iPad OS came out than I did in about 6 months. Absolutely love it. Desktop class Safari browsing. I can do my WordPress editing on the fly. I brought my laptop home from work to do some WordPress work. Didn't even need it. Did it all on my iPad with the Apple Pencil. Sat on the sofa. Absolutely amazing, amazing, amazing work. External display support. Has been updated. It's a bit more intelligent for what it puts on the second screen. So for people that use those screens. People that use external monitors with their iPad, great for them. Support for mice and trackpads it's technically an accessibility feature, but it's still there, so you can plug a USB or Bluetooth. You can connect a Bluetooth mouse, and you get a little circular cursor, so you can use a mouse on your iPad. So that's always cool. I personally don't really have a use for it, but I can imagine there are people that do. Support for more than one audio input and output. Again, not useful for me, but if you need that, then I'm sure you can crack on. And as I said, I've been running it on my iPad 6th generation for since the Monday, whenever it was, the 3rd, the day that the keynote was. I installed it straight away. Haven't had to restore. I've had a few resprings, but nothing massive. It's been very, very stable. But I don't have a massive amount of apps on my iPad, so it's kind of safe. But as I say, I can't risk doing that on my iPhone. I just use it for too much stuff that I can't risk not being able to do. So next, macOS Catalina. Big thing, iTunes. It's gone. It's been a very long time coming, but iTunes as we know it is gone in macOS Catalina. Can't say I'm sad, don't use it anymore, use Spotify. But what is going to be nice is they've split it into music, TV and podcasts. Now, I like Apple Podcasts a lot, so it will be nice to be able to use Apple Podcasts on my Mac without having to use iTunes. So, all for that. I touched on the Project Catalyst, so iPad apps on Mac. Twitter is coming back to the Mac. Yes, it is. Can't wait for that. And it's just an iPad app ported to the Mac. Well, not even ported. That's not fair. It's an iPad app that's then the project in Xcode, they tick a box for Mac OS and it does it all. All of the technical stuff, the keyboard support, mouse support, the menu bar, sidebars, all that is all done automatically. All they have to worry about is the UI and the look and the feel. So I love it, and hopefully we're going to get some amazing Project Catalyst apps for the Mac from iPad. So fingers crossed for that one. Sidecar, iPad as a second screen. Now I've got I won't show you because it's plugged in, but I've got a 2016 15-inch MacBook Pro with Touch Bar, Space Gray one, sitting just over here. But I use it at work. so I haven't put Catalina on it. If I didn't use it at work, I probably would have put it on there, but I use it for work and for business, so I can't risk it. But I love the idea. So you just connect them up, you you install them both, go into your AirPlay menu, choose your iPad, done. You have to use an Apple Pencil though, so there's no finger touch input, because I think macOS isn't optimized for touch enough, that the touch spots would be too small. So you have to use an Apple Pencil, which if you don't have an Apple Pencil is a bit of a con, because you're going to have to buy one, but I've already got one, so it doesn't bother me. So maybe once the public beta of Catalina is out, maybe I'll give it a go for a week or so and see if I can live with it. And if that happens, I'll do a demo of Sidecar. Accessibility, voice control, this is amazing. I can't give props to Apple enough. As someone who struggles with accessibility, I won't go into it, but as someone that does, not to the degree of what voice control is for, but I can understand the need for that kind of thing. The demo for voice control was just amazing. The fact that you can do everything on your Mac by voice, I think is just wonderful. I can't give Apple enough credit. I think they've done an amazing job, and I'm sure it's going to be amazingly well received by the users. It just looks amazing. Very Apple-esque in implementation, completely smooth, native with the UI, and I just think they've done an amazing job. I really do. Screen time on a Mac, no use for it for me whatsoever. I don't use it on my iPhone. I turn the notifications off because I don't want to know how much I've been staring at my phone. I guess if you've got a family of Macs and your children have got Macs and your children have got iPhones, it's quite good that you could see your child's iPhone and Mac usage. I get that, but for me personally, I've got no use for it whatsoever. But it's cool that it's coming to the Mac. I imagine it's probably going to be a Catalyst app. Excuse me, in the same way that actually Home, Stocks, News, and was it just those three in Mojave? They were Catalyst apps, early iterations of Catalyst apps. So screen time, new app for the Mac. I've got no use for it, but I'm sure people will have. You can share notes in folders, that's cool. Maybe I'll use it, who knows. Reminders, new reminders app to match the iPadOS and iOS 13 one. Again, hopefully I'll use it more than I do at the moment, now that they've improved it. Activation lock for Mac, pretty cool. So if you lose your Mac, you can lock it and then someone is useless. It just becomes a paperweight. You can't do anything with it unless you unlock it. Not sure why it's taken so long for that to be a thing, but it's now a thing. Only works with Macs with a T2 chip or later. So annoyingly, my 2016 MacBook Pro doesn't work. But what are you going to do? I'm not going to buy a new Mac just for that. iCloud Drive folder sharing. Now, I use OneDrive and Dropbox. I use iCloud Drive, but only for my own stuff. I don't share it with people. So I've got no use for folder sharing, but it's pretty cool. It's bringing it more and more in line with other cloud storage platforms. So props to Apple for that one. So that is my take on watchOS 6, iOS and iPadOS 13, and macOS Catalina. Now, here's the juicy bit, right? The Mac Pro and the Pro Display XDR. Now, what is there to say about the Mac Pro? Absolute beast of a machine. Apple have finally done what Apple used to do best, and they have developed the best possible machine, no compromise, for the Pro market. Now, Apple have caused their own problem by overusing the word Pro. This is just my take. So, MacBook Pro, it's not really Pro when all you've got is USB-C. It's not really a Pro machine, but it's the Pro machine of the lineup. Same as the iPad Pro, it's the Pro iPad of the lineup, but it's not really for actual Pros. This Mac Pro is for actual pros. So a lot of the people that are saying, oh, it's too much money, it's not for you. If you think it's too much money, it wasn't designed for you in the first place. I have no use for a £6,000 Mac Pro at all. And I don't think most people have use for a £6,000 Mac Pro, because you could buy an iMac Pro or a 5K iMac maxed out to do YouTube or do music production. You don't need a Mac Pro. And if you think it's too much money, it wasn't for you in the first place. Now, there's a few things that I think are a bit strange. The 256 gig base storage. Now, the iMac Pro comes with a terabyte of storage as standard, I believe. Let me just quickly check that. Yeah, it does, yeah. So it comes with 32 gigs, excuse me, and a terabyte of flash storage. Now, the Mac Pro comes with that same 32 gigs, 8 core Xeon, 256 gigs of flash storage. It could be that because it's got dual 10 gig Ethernet, Apple are thinking that most of the target audience are going to have super fast network storage and they're not going to need that local storage. But they've still got to put their apps somewhere. And I don't think it would have been too much to ask to at least give 512 gig, if not the terabyte, as a base config for your $6,000. Just my take on that. The demos that they showed are amazing. The 3 streams of 8K, 1,000 track Logic project. I mean, it's absolutely mind-blowing performance. But again, it's not for me. It's an amazing bit of tech, but I have no use for one at all. It's not a toy. It's not for prosumers or enthusiasts. It's for actual professionals who could make that back in 6 months or 3 months or 12 months, whatever it might be. It's an investment that they will make back. So they're not going to mind about that $6,000 asking price or the base spec, because they're probably not going to buy that base spec anyway. They're going to be speccing it up with a few terabyte of flash storage, 64 gig of RAM, the dual Vega 2s, the MPX card for the decoding of the ProRes and ProRes RAW. So that base config is completely irrelevant, because they're not going to be buying it in the first place. So that's my take on the config. I think it's a bit stingy, but I kind of get that they got to make their money somehow. Now, the MPX card, amazing little card. Not the MPX card, the Afterburner card. I think I said MPX card a minute ago as well. I meant Afterburner card. The Afterburner card does ProRes and ProRes RAW decoding, takes that load off the CPU and GPU so they can do other things. And you can still have an Afterburner card with the 2 Vega 2s. So you got 4 GPUs and the Afterburner card. Absolutely mental spec, but it will be an absolute beast of a machine, I am sure. Up to 1.5 terabyte of RAM, 4 terabytes of flash storage, and 28 cores. Mad spec. The Pro display, now again, I'm not the target audience. I'm not going to pretend to be the target audience, because I'm not. But that Pro display XDR is an absolute bargain, in my opinion. You could pay $12,000, $15,000, $20,000 for a reference monitor, and it could only be it could be 1080p. It doesn't have HDR. It's not 10-bit color. Apple have put all of these features into a 6K screen, and they're selling it at a third of the price of the rest of the industry. I think they've nailed it. Now, again, I'm not going to buy one. Most people probably won't buy one. But the people that do buy them, it's going to be an investment. So that, again, that price is by the by. The way they did the price thing that I find a bit strange. So it's $200 for a vase mount and $999 for the stand. $999 for the stand. It's a very nice stand. I can't see who's going to buy it, because if you're that much of a pro, you're probably going to put it on an arm. Or you've already got a workstation with arms and you're just going to take your monitors down and replace them with Pro displays. So you're not going to buy the stand. Now, if it was me, I would have said the Pro Display XDR costs $5,999 or whatever. And let's left it at that. And then when you buy it, if you don't want the stand, you save the $1,000. Because no one would have complained at a $6,000 display, sorry, $6,000 display, because the specs are still there. So the extra $1,000 wouldn't have made any difference to opinion, but they would have saved themselves the backlash of the price of the stand and the way they unveiled it. And you could hear in the room when they said Pro stand $999, the groan of all the people in the room at the time. I just think it was a very odd way to reveal it, and I feel like maybe Apple didn't quite appreciate how that £1,000 stand was going to be received. So I think that's it. I think I'm going to call it, as I've already talked for far too long. So that's my take. WWDC 2019, the best WWDC keynote for a long time. I think we got stuff we knew about, we got stuff we didn't know about. iOS and iPad OS 13 are looking amazing. Mac OS Catalina, can't wait to try it out. And I think that Mac Pro is going to do wonders for the people that need it. Those people in production houses and animation studios and 3D rendering, I think they're gonna find it an absolute dream. And I think Apple have finally come back around to providing for their Pro market after the trash can Mac Pro incident all those years ago. 6 years ago. 6 years people have been dealing with that trash can Mac Pro. But Apple finally sorted it out. They finally delivered. Who'd have thought it? Who'd have thought they were actually going to reveal it at WWDC? I was thinking maybe a first look or a demo, but no, we got the whole shebang, specs and all. So I think it was an amazing one. So that's all from me. It's good to be back. It's good to be making content. I'm going to do some iPad OS 13 content, I think. And once I get it on my iPhone, I'll do some iOS 13 content as well. But I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for watching, guys. If you've enjoyed it, please like the video and subscribe if you want to see more. And I'll see you all in the next one. See you later.